Good afternoon. Happy Monday. My name is Martin Cowart, and welcome to the Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour. And we call it the Power Hour for a reason, because we need to power up. We need to power up to generate the energy we need to move us through this pandemic. And that power is God. That power is love. That power is the life force within us. And hello, Darso, and hello, Hassan. Hello, hello. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. And Hassan, nice to see you here as well. Glad to have you here today. Great. We're talking about the power of love. We're talking about what are you doing to get through this pandemic? Yesterday, I was standing in the line at the grocery store, 6 feet apart with our mask, and there was a woman in front of me, and she was standing there patiently waiting, just as I was. And as we waited in line for our next, hey, Mindy, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. We are here on Monday, and we are getting through it. And this is why I come, because it's sometimes it's a struggle. I get what I call pandemic fatigue. It's Zoom fatigue, pandemic fatigue, and getting up this morning on Monday morning for a 6 o'clock meeting with my virtual assistant who is in Kenya. It took some effort. It was like, oh God, another day of all this suffering and all this pain and all this uncertainty. It's exhausting. And as I was saying earlier, I was in the grocery store line yesterday at ShopRite, standing in line with my mask, and we were all 6 feet apart and waiting patiently. We had a little while to wait. So I started up a conversation with the woman in front of me, and I said, well, how are you doing? What are you doing to get through? Oh, I'm praying a lot, and it is helping. I said, me too. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool that two grown people, complete strangers, are standing in the store in the line at the grocery store at ShopRite with masks, 6 feet apart, talking about the power of prayer. That's how we're getting through this, through the power of prayer. We have to tap into that deep inner resource within us, the God within, the life force within us, that power, which is love. And I would say with the fear and the suffering and the pain we're all experiencing is amplified right now. But you know what? So is the power of prayer. When you have your lows, the lower the lows, the higher the highs, they say, when it's natural. So that's what we're going through. And so to balance that out, we need the power of prayer. We need to get together, and we need to come inside ourselves and really discover the truth of who we are. We are love. We are true love energy, that life force within us. And when we step into that, all those little narcissistic concerns and worries tend to go away. And that's what we suffer about. We can handle everything that's happening in this moment, but our suffering is the projection of the future on more suffering in the future. Think about that. We're actually able to pretty much handle everything that's happening, because that's the way we are. That's how we're designed. And someone said, wiser than me, someone might say, is that God is in the suffering. We connect through the suffering. And that's why it's so important that we come together on a daily basis like this and just love and support each other. Get quiet, still the mind, and move and help each other through this. Love each other through it. Support each other through it. I want to read a little bit from Richard Rohr right now. It's about one of the members of the CAC faculty. His name is James Finley, and he's a longtime teacher of contemplative prayer. And I've studied some of his books, and he's really quite smart about that stuff. He takes a lot of what he learned from Eckhart. Meister Eckhart, who was the sort of, maybe you might call him the founder, if you will, of Christian contemplatives and Christian mysticism. So as Sufi was, as Rumi was for Sufism, Meister Eckhart might be a counterpart for the mystical movement within the Christian faith. He was also tried as a heretic, by the way, because of his beliefs around. It didn't seem to give all that power to the Vatican. They didn't much like that, but he was found not to be. Just as a little side note, Meister Eckhart was tried for heresy, being a heretic, but he was not found guilty. However, he did mysteriously disappear on a road one night. He was truly a threat to the empire, Roman Catholic Church, and being being a modern day mystic and a contemplative had its challenges. So let me see what he's got to say about the wisdom in time of crisis. Wisdom in times of crisis, sustained in God's love. In the light of eternity, we're here for a very short time, really. We're here for one thing ultimately, to learn how to love, because God is love. Love is our origin, love is our ground, and love is our destiny. That's all there really is love. But the shadow, the ego, sometimes blocks us from it. That's why it's important for us to sometimes fall out of, let's surrender the egoic mind and fall into love. CAC faculty member James Finley offers a contemplative practice to help us experience the love of God even in the midst of chaos. Living out of that love transforms both ourselves and the world. What is the practice that matters most? And what is the practice that matters right now, especially? A practice, a meditation practice or a prayer practice, is any act habitually entered into with our whole heart that takes us into the deeper place. Some of these practices we might not even think of as prayer and meditation, such as tending the roses, a long, slow walk to no place in particular, a quiet moment at day's end, being vulnerable in the presence of that person in whose presence we're taken to the deeper place, or the pause between two lines in a poem. I got to say, yesterday, out working in the yard pulling up weeds, I found it somewhat of a meditative practice. It was sort of mindless to be able to sort of like pull weeds and lovingly tend to my flower beds. And what I would notice was I would get ideas, I would get inspiration, I'd get thoughts for speeches and messages, and it was very inspirational. And I just wanted to bring up, because when we get quiet and we get still, it doesn't mean we have to always do it formally like we do here at noon, but it can be all throughout the day if we just stop and get still and listen to that quiet voice within us. And maybe we occupy our hands with something like weeding or washing the dishes or doing something that doesn't require a lot of mental focus. There are these acts that reground us in the depth dimensions of our life that matter most. So when we're faithful to our practice becomes faithful to us. I got, for me as a contemplative for 40 years, I'm a mystic. I mean, I would consider myself a mystic. And a mystic is anyone who just simply practices and is aware of the mystery of life, the mystery of God within us, and practices that in a moment-to-moment basis. So for me, and I want for you, and why we do this, is that I can feel myself disconnected more than I'm connected so much of the time that I really feel disconnected when I'm disconnected, if that makes sense. Like when I wake up in the morning, I feel very disconnected from my source. I feel very disconnected from God. So I have to, in that first few minutes every morning, I have to find some way to get connected quickly. because I wake up disconnected. I experience the shadow beliefs I have that I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, whatever is barking at me when I open my eyes in the morning. I call it vultures on the bedpost. I need to do something in those first 7 minutes in order to disrupt that and get into my heart space. And that's what I do. And then that's my practice. Because I find that when I get into that heart space first thing in the morning in the first 7 minutes, then I stay in that space. I'm able to maintain that space throughout most of the day. And if I got challenges that come up that want to take me out of that place, I can quickly get myself back in it. But if I let myself get out of bed and I begin to operate from that place of the ego, that fear of the ego, which I did for most of my life, then it's really hard for me during the day to get back my sense of self, to reconnect to God. So that's why I practice it, and that's what I want to add. In this contemplative practice, he's going to teach us something. In this contemplative practice, sit and renew your awareness that you're sitting in the presence of God, all about you and within you. You practice this today if you like. As you inhale God's silent "I love you," in which God is pouring out and utterly giving away to you as the miracle of your very life. Then when you exhale yourself in love, "I love you." And so we are breathing along with God. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. From the reciprocity of love, destiny is fulfilled, and the foundations of suffering are healed. From the reciprocity of love, from the giving and the receiving of love, destiny is fulfilled, and the foundations of suffering are healed. That's a pretty big statement, isn't it? It sounds so simple, but it's so hard sometimes, isn't it? As we sit this way, suffering arises. The suffering then might be our anxiety and concerns today for ourselves and for our loved ones and for the world. Certainly easy for us today to quickly get into a sense of anxiety about the people we love, ourselves, and what's going to happen next. As we sit in the midst of this arising of anxiety, when we inhale this love of God, loving us through and through, anxiety and all, finding no hindrance in our anxiety, loving us so unexplainably forever. Then when we exhale ourselves in love, anxiety and all. To the love that loves us. This requires gentle perseverance because anxiety arises again and again. I'm going to read that again because I think this is so appropriate to what we're all going through and all the anxiety and what I would call pandemic fatigue, almost also Zoom fatigue. I mean, it takes a lot of work to stay on Zoom all day and pay attention. As we sit in the midst of the arising of the anxiety, when we inhale this love of God, loving us through and through, anxiety and all, we exhale, I love, and I'll just let the anxiety go with it. You know, love and anxiety, the paradox, breathing in and out the paradox, the anxiety and the love, two totally different energy levels. But when we breathe them in and out, the love will prevail. What I think he's saying here. We bring it into consciousness, bring it into our awareness. We are loving awareness, pure love, and when we bring it into our awareness, it begins to dissolve and to resolve the anxieties. Then when we exhale ourselves in love, anxiety, and all to the love that loves us. This requires gentle perseverance because anxiety arises again and again. I practice something called faith, F-A-I-T-H, and I gave that over. I went over that last week with you on this broadcast, and I'm going to do that again this week. I'm going to start doing that once a week. It's a wonderful little tool that we can all use as anxiety rises up within us day after day after day, moment after moment after moment. And it's a kind of a pattern interrupt. It's a way to, within 5 minutes, transform that fear that could be rising up and the anxieties and the things that come with that into love. And when we transform it into love, we have to get our power back to make a difference in the world. It doesn't automatically go away. We sit with it. We lean into it again, and we hold fast to this love that sustains us in the midst of things. It is in this way, little by little, that we come to understand the unsubstantiality of everything but love. Love and love alone has the authority to name who we are. Love and love alone have the authority to name who we are, because love is what created us. And who better than the Creator to tell us who we are and what we are than our Creator, our loving Creator. This practice then experientially grounds us in this love wisdom. This love wisdom, grounded in practice, empowers us to go out and share this with other people in the circumstances in which we find ourselves. And that's what this is. It's an opportunity for us to transform ourselves and ask others to join us in the transformation of the world, in the transformation of and the evolution of humanity to a higher level of consciousness. And that's a lot more exciting. We're living through some pretty, they're difficult, but they certainly are exciting. Someone said, if anybody's bored, you're boring. Because there is nothing boring going on right now in this world. This world is moving at a pace. It is shifting at a pace beyond human understanding. And it's uncomfortable. Of course, we don't know. It's moving too fast. So we got to stop and listen, get still. Let's do that this morning, this afternoon. Let's do a little meditation here for 20 minutes, and let's see where that goes. So the invitation is raise your arms in the air. Raise your arms. Feel your body. Feel that life in your body. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your hands. Get present to God within you. God is what just moved your body. What moved your body? Sure, your arms and your muscles, but what was the force behind it? God. That life force is what lifted your body up. That life force is what got you here on this call with me today. The life force within you is what's listening to me. Because we're all one in that life force energy we call God, or the universe, or the higher power. Whatever we need to call it to make us feel more comfortable. Sometimes the word God has got so many, it can be so triggering for so many people because we grew up in a country where they used God and ideals to punish and reward people, kind of like money, you know. God and money are kind of similar in certain ways. They've been misused to control and empower people. And when God and money have been used for that, then we're both afraid of it. But when we understand the true nature of God and what God really is, we can also begin to understand the true nature of money and wealth. And money can become an expression of love and an exchange of value to produce more wealth. The same as God is love. And there's an infinite supply, and we can produce more love, we can produce more wealth when we tap into that, and it shifts our relationship. When we get into what I call the spirit of money, the spirit of finances, the spirit of wealth, the spirit of God, we realize there's an infinite supply. We can create more and more. But we're meditating. I got off another topic. So let go of all that, Martin. Lord have mercy, I'm so funny. So just hold your heart. Get quiet. Martin, you get quiet. I'll get quiet with you. Shut up. And listen and be still. And let go of every belief and opinion you have about God. Let go of every judgment you have about yourself and about this world. Hold on to nothing. And allow yourself to fall back into the beauty and the emptiness and the spaciousness of heaven. What Jesus called the kingdom of heaven for spaciousness. What Buddha called emptiness. Formless, still power of the universe that resides within us. Allow yourself to be still in that space. Come to know who you are. Maybe even set an intention for this meditation today to let go of your own will and your own needs and your own worries. Surrender them to God. Surrender to that loving life force inside yourself. And as you breathe out, I am love. Breathe in, I am loved. Let's try this. I love and I am loved. I love and I am loved. I love and I am loved. Welcome back. How was your adventure? How was your prayer? Did you get some power back? I do feel a sense of calm. I'm not as anxious as I was. Mondays are a tough day for most of us, for me particularly. So I'm really grateful for this practice. I really don't know how I get through the world without a meditative practice. So that's why I share it with you, because I want you, because I love you, and I want you to have a good day. I want you to love yourself and love others, and plug into that higher power within us to make a difference in the world. Anybody want to add anything today before we leave? I'm going to go get my hair cut. I don't know what this is going to look like. Get my hair cut with a mask on, but my barber is open for business in some way. I don't quite know how they're going to operate, but I do have an appointment, so it'll be an adventure to see what that looks like. But we're all getting through this, and prayer and meditation and it's the best way I know to get through this together. So thank you for joining me. May love and prosperity prevail. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Much love.